Okay, I have started recording. So, Bankless DeSci, weekly stand-up, 10/24/23. We've got Elijah, Victor, and Nishant on the call. We'll get that filled in. Actually, I think this is only limited to the 10 people who are in the Notion. So maybe I'll add a separate thing down here. So have you both had a chance to check out this Notion yet? Anything in here? Any of the previous notes or initiatives that we've got going on?
I mainly thought about, the format. I had a look at all those things. So I was mainly focusing on that. Haven't had a look at the Notion. But I can, if you want to start about our, from our last discussion, I can share some thoughts.
Yeah, for sure. Happy to hear
it. Yeah. So kind of, like the form that is there, I mean, it was just the initial thing, right? So,
what form are you talking about?
So the Airtable, so it is just very, basic information. Like people have spoken about the category, you can see some familiar names, a lot of them you don't know. So I thought that, we can try to build a session around two things, which I have not seen much discussion around, okay?
Mm-hmm.
So one is scenarios, okay? Like I don't see people usually talking in Web3 about scenarios. It's always about either bull market or, a utopian future, or like an ideal state, right? But we don't explicitly speak about scenarios. For example, in DeSci Berlin, I saw an interesting discussion between the current publishing, companies, maybe Elsweiser and, those who are doing NFT.
Mm-hmm.
But still, it's nice sometimes to just lay out, it's to make it explicit. So that's something we can think about, organizing something around it. And the second hinge that I thought is obstacles, So people are working on all these things, but, really bringing a discussion, in a certain session around obstacles and how to remove them. Because, I was having a chat with somebody, and he was explaining that, how there is so much inertia in the universities and, a lot of people don't even talk about Web3, and will they accept or not. So of course there are early adopters, which we see all around us, but then what, again, making it explicit, in whether it's in publishing or funding, so what do we consider as obstacles,
mm-hmm.
and how to remove them. And in the third one, and this last one, which I thought is around short, medium, and long term, So the people are working on different kinds of ideas and, but being able to, it's something similar to scenarios, but, it's a different way of, applying and ordering everything that's happening, what do we consider short term and why certain things are going to be useful in the short term and what follows in the medium term and all. So because people have not filled in their, topics of what they would like to do. And in our last discussion, I thought that, you said that it's going to be about 4 hours. So I was thinking, first of all, I started thinking that if we have to do it something different, then what is it that I'm not seeing, let's say in DeSci Boston or, or DeSci Berlin? And I mean, this is just three thoughts that I just put it out there, and then we can mix match or drop it or take it for future. And then, as you were saying, that I can reach out, we can reach out to people and ask for more information. Yeah, but if these three things make you think about something, I would love to hear that.
Yeah, how would you sum up that last one in like a couple of words?
Yeah, so so what I see is that certain solutions are dependent on certain things happening. So they're dependencies. Like even if we are making a GAN, there are certain things which are dependent on a previous step taking place, right? So it's basically on that. So like there are certain things we need today, which is the short term to begin with. These are smaller fixes here and there or bridges, and then that leads to certain things happening in the medium term. Like for example, one of the things we talk about is individuals' credentials, either as verified credentials or in SPTs, and I personally think it's somewhat of a medium term. And today, for example, the ecosystem is more focused on publishing or fundraising. Funding is a big thing. So once you have money flowing in, you have other things coming in. So this is a very broad example, but what I mean to say is to have sort of an understanding of dependencies. So it's almost like stairs that, like this is the bottom level of things that need to happen at the very lowest hierarchy, and then it will enable certain things, and then that will enable certain things. So it's that. So one scenario is, it's more abstract and you're looking at, different possibilities, and this is a little bit more on the, execution side, and you think about that. Does it make sense? Yeah.
It does, and I think the framing these sorts of things I think would be good for individual sessions, because I think that any of these topics or any of the I guess these sort of broader themes could be applied to any of the individual topics. Because there's different scenarios and obstacles and dependencies for D-health versus D-space, versus funding versus community building. So I think these things are important for session facilitators to think about and maybe use to try and structure their sessions. But in terms of
that, absolutely, yes. So these are not topics. These are like, how do you structure? It's kind of giving theme and color.
Yeah.
And that brings me that, this is like, structures. And you're doing brainstorming around certain things or a panel discussion around certain things. And these are broader themes. Rather than just asking people, you give them something. Yeah. Or like in TEDx style, in TEDx, you often have a theme, For example, and then this is the wild idea which came to my mind when you spoke the thing that you did, is like, how about we make scenarios the underlying theme of the whole 4 hours, So whether it's in funding, what are the different scenarios, or in publishing, what are the different scenarios, or it's, in coordination in communities, what are the different things can happen, speculations around these things. It's kind of projecting futures and why we are. So I'm just giving you out there that, we have, let's say, DeSci and general theme, but, you inject something there to make it stand out, from what has been around. And, I don't know. Like, what do you think?
Yeah, I think that that could be good for messaging. I think we're kind of jumping the gun. On some of these things because we haven't gotten a lot of details about session ideas yet from people. So I think instead of trying to impose this on that. I would rather just, for this first time, and this isn't going to be the end all be all for conferences, right? Like we're going to be able to do.
Absolutely.
I want to hopefully do one of these every quarter. So I think those could be, depending on how this goes. We could focus more on these bigger themes, like for future ones. But I think for this first one, I want to leave it as open as possible, hopefully, to see what we get. And then, once people start giving us their session ideas, we can start trying to put more structure around it, I think. Identify some themes and structures and things that we could use to create a schedule that, makes sense.
Yeah, that's fine. I mean, then I'm just seeing your posts on conference sessions, right?
Mm-hmm.
So this for scientific publishing, salary science, basic science grad, and this thing, okay, proposed duration, okay, yeah. So let's see, let's keep these. I mean, these can be used as trigger, right? So if in 4 or 5 days you see that there is no sufficient, people you haven't got sufficient replies to what you just said. Then you can say that, hey guys, how about any thoughts around, scenarios or removing obstacles? Please let your ideas come in. So yeah, I mean, I just thought about it. I mean, I was thinking that, the thing I was asking, that how can we make it engaging, so that people are kind of, engaged and it makes for interesting discussions in a virtual session. And that's about it, it's, if you have, one thing is you have star speakers, okay? So if you get some big names, then it attracts people, it helps in the campaign, okay? So, or you have themes which are tantalizing, which kind of draw attention. So either themes or stars, something, and then it's on that, So, but I completely agree with you, that if people are participating, and they give their own ideas, it's coming through them, then I think it's a good way to build a community. So I completely agree with that, but I just wanted to put out there some things that I just thought.
No, that's a great idea. I like the idea for more focused themes for the whole event. I'm just not sure this first time if we can. Because people, like you said, people, I think you identified a problem that I wanted to focus on today, which is making sure that we get people to go through this process, of sharing their ideas and thinking about it and being creative, and not just being lazy and being like, oh, I have a slide deck, I'm going to present my slide. No, we don't want that. We want
absolutely
not. So I think what my what I was thinking about for that is, this first post in Telegram is just, to get the ball rolling. There's a lot of people, actually I might need to stop sharing my screen and share again. Entire screen. Let's do this. So this post, we only tagged a few people, because not everybody included their, information and their Telegram handle in the Airtable. But let's see, actually I want to show that. Hopefully I don't dox anybody.
First, I also need to share mine, because it's a general thing.
Let's see, speakers, let's do public view. Oh, I didn't get that in there. Okay, so speakers. So not everybody gave us their Telegram handle, but I did add this column. I added this column here for whether they joined Telegram or not. So I sorted it by the ones who haven't, and so all the ones who have are down below. They're all checked off in that column. So what we need to do is the ones who haven't joined Telegram. Obviously, I couldn't tag them, so we need to reach out to them. Some of them we have their Telegram handle, which is great. We can reach out on Telegram. Some of them we also have their email address, which I'm not going to show on the screen share, but the that information is in here. And so we can reach out, I think, to these folks. Maybe even make another column, be like, have they shared their idea with us? Have they given us their initial draft idea? Or have they posted it? But I think some people will maybe be a little bit. Some people will be intimidated, and I don't think that's a good excuse. But some people, I think, would be maybe more concerned about just privacy, just that they don't like to be in public Telegram groups, So I think that's fine. If somebody's concerned about they just don't want to join the Telegram group because they're like, I don't want to, be in there and get a bunch of random DMs or people pinging me, whatever. Like, I get it. That's fine. But if they're just intimidated, I think we should encourage them to join anyway, and be like, you should get involved in the conversation. But yeah, I think the goal is to get as many people as we can to post for themselves in this group, and sort of trying to follow this format, and then people can start to see. We'll start to get some. We'll at least begin the feedback process from attendees, right? People will know. People will have an idea of what's there, what's going to be the session content, and then and hopefully people will start interacting. Right, so Victor, you included. Oh, that's not you. It's different Victor. Included. I'm not sure I should use this fishbowl. So that was great. That was great feedback. Right, that needed some clarity.
Yeah.
So I think that allowed me to provide some clarity, and I think hopefully as more people go through this process, they'll be able to interact with each other and provide that clarity and collaborate. And who knows, we might end up with sessions that have 5 facilitators because they are all just like, oh yeah, that's super cool. I want to do the same thing. And I think we could. That's kind of the goal here, is like figuring out what people are passionate about, and making it so that I think that's how we're going to get engaging sessions. If it's something that's like this keeps people up at night. Like these are the things we're really passionate about. And so this Victor is very passionate about science salaries and micropayment grants. So, I think that could be great for a funding category. We'll see what other types of funding stuff we have. We could try and connect people if they have similar ideas. But that's sort of just what I'm thinking, is we need to follow up with everyone who hasn't posted, or isn't in the group, and then get them to do that. Or if they're uncomfortable, then we can just do it one-on-one, and we can get their information and we can share it on their behalf.
Yeah, I think those who have actually, there's 2 kinds of people, right? Those who are signed up to be speakers, they know that they will be out there, okay? Yeah. And so that's one. The number 2 is some people just are not using Telegram or don't want to, don't believe in groups or had bad experiences. So that's a different one, or want to stay anonymous, right? So that's a different, you have to communicate with them on, on emails, or I don't know, but yeah. But I like your idea, definitely. Like if involve, it just emerges organically. That's really good. I also think you should have clarity on the audience, the target audience. I would say, is it more about like bringing together people already building in DeSci or working in DeSci, like who are already there, doing something, or is it to more educate? Those who are on the fence, and those who are trying to learn, right? Because they are different, right? So one is where you are trying to engage already existing people and have debates and discussions and counter views and just to the community. Another one is, you have also on the fence periphery, a lot of people. So what is your thoughts on that?
So this is what we identified early on in the first meeting, was like, okay, who's our target audience most likely to resonate with Bankless DeSci in general. And I think this is still mostly true for the event, and we'll see. I think right now I think our estimated capacity is probably going to be around 300 people, and we've got 60 who have replied to the Airtable form, with most of them wanting to run a session. So 37. So about 2/3 want to lead a session. So I think that is going to, say if we've got about 40, 50 people out of 300 who are leading sessions, or wanting to facilitate. I think that's a great ratio, and that leaves us a lot of room for our target audience, right? And I think we'll get a lot of people who are interested in DeSci, who are just in Web3 and don't really know about it, want to come learn. Maybe they've got some science background. Maybe they don't work in science or something, but they went to school for it. I think there's a lot of people who have general interest in DeSci, and it kind of breaks down to these few groups. So I guess starting up here, it's like DeSci education for non-scientist Bankless DAO members, right? So Bankless DAO, we've got 20,000 people. That's a lot of the people who have joined the Telegram now, who are not active in DeSci, fall into this category. And other people, I think majority of our speaker applicants fall into this category. People who are scientists but not in Bankless DAO, right? And I think maybe we should add more categories, but yeah, I guess non-scientist Bankless DAO members or just general people interested in DeSci.
Okay, then I have one idea that just to because it's beyond people need to be educated, right?
Yeah.
So perhaps 1 week before, maybe we should run an article in Bankless 1 or 2, which is just a primer on DeSci. It kind of lays out the key problems or key terms, because people can get confused about a lot of things, like what is IP NFT or IPTs, what's the difference, or why do we even need it? So I'm just thinking, Bankless had, or you have delivered a quote. So Bankless had that great discussion, a few weeks ago, and that made it popular. I saw they also featured a very dense article on DeSci because there is no content strategy around it, and Bankless has all these wonderful channels. So it's also a time just as kind of preparing the ground. So we are doing all this, it's working, but it's kind of sort of a glossary and getting you just enough information so that when you are listening to discussions, it just you get the terms. Like for example, if you were in discussion and you heard again and again verified credentials and soulbound tokens and DIDs, what is DID and how is it? How VCs are part of it? And like sometimes in crypto, people just use terms like you start using DIDs or VCs, and 80% of the people wouldn't know, right? So that was my thought. That's why when I see the audience, and then I think, okay, what's the gap between the session and the audience? And this is something that came to my mind.
Right, and yeah, so that's something Bharat is working on. He's creating a DeSci 101 lesson that's going to be published in Bankless Academy.
I see.
And I want to just clarify that we have zero affiliation with the Bankless podcast.
I see.
That's a completely separate entity than Bankless DAO. So I think that's the main, thing I've had to clarify with some people that are interested in sponsoring and stuff like that. Is that Bankless DAO is its own entity. Let me there's a good example of that in this doc. So we as Bankless DeSci, why is this not? Come on, there we go. Sorry, it's loading another page. Here we go. So this is a graphic showing the relationship between Bankless DAO and the podcast. So Bankless DAO is this constellation of media nodes, right? And so Bankless DeSci is one of these entities, just like the podcast. So we're totally separate, even though we share the same brand, right? It was started by the podcast and they created the DAO, but ultimately, we operate independently. They operate independently. There's no we can't just ask them to run something. We actually don't have direct, even contact with them. but so that's why we're kind of doing it on our own. And I have been starting to try and reach out through these channels and make contact with them to hopefully get David to. I think Dave would be a fantastic keynote speaker because of the series that he did earlier this year on Zuzalu. That sparked a lot of this interest from within Bankless DAO because people saw that series and they were like, "Oh, cool." That's why I was like, "Yeah, we need a Bankless DeSci." So that's kind of where this Bankless DeSci came from. But that being said, we don't. Yeah, there's no we can't just reach out to them and ask them to run something. They're totally separate. But yeah. So,
okay, good to know. Yeah. Okay. So what is this near? You have? I'm not aware of. I saw the word near. Near.
So let's kind of rein it in a second and get back to the agenda item because we haven't even kind of gone through the goals for today.
Yes.
So I want to just kind of get back to that because we're about halfway through the meeting now. So just real quick goals for today. I mean, we've kind of covered some of this, but we're bouncing around. So I want to just kind of give maybe some context and then hopefully that'll help fill in some of these gaps. So the big number. We hit 100 members this week. But yeah, there's currently a Let Us Meet going in the polls channel. Actually, it's the Do and Work channel. To identify a new time or an additional time for this meeting or another one, because I know a lot of people can't make this one. So if either of you or if anybody who's watching wants to suggest another time, please fill that Let Us Meet out. We do have to. I thought CryptoShrimp was going to be on this call today, but maybe we'll have to just do this in the chat. But CryptoShrimp has been the only person to nominate themselves as our representative as a Vita DAO governance DAO steward. So part of one of those entities in Bankless DAO in the ecosystem is DAO stewards, and they sort of coordinate governance relationships and token exchanges between Bankless DAO and other bigger DAO entities. And Vita DAO is one of them, right? So the DAO stewards have a governance role where I guess the DAO stewards hold Vita tokens, and they want somebody to vote on proposals and communicate with Vita DAO, to act on those token holdings. So this would be a compensated role from the DAO stewards, right? So most projects in Bankless DAO, and this is something we're going to I'll get to in a second, one of the grant applications we've got going right now, in addition to the near one. We're submitting a grant to Bankless DAO so that we can offer our members similar compensation. But that's what DAO Stewards is doing. They're offering one of our members compensation from their treasury to do this. And CryptoShrimp was the only person who self-nominated. So I wanted to ratify, but I want CryptoShrimp to sort of maybe speak for himself on this one before confirming that. But we can try and do that async in the chat. But that's a big item this week. Another big item is that multi-sig is finalized because we do have potential sponsors who want to sponsor the event. We've got grant applications in motion, one submitted already. So we're going to need a multi-sig to accept those funds and then to make sure that those funds are allocated and distributed according to the will of the membership in Bankless DeSci. So that's going on. The poll was 82% approval, totally anonymous. So a couple people voted no, not sure why, but set up this anonymous feedback form. Doesn't collect your name or email or anything, so people can provide anonymous feedback if they disapproved or if they approved, but anything about the process. I know it was definitely a little informal and quick, but we did have a week-long nomination period, and then this poll ran for a week because we only had 5 people who nominated, so it wasn't like a competitive nomination. It was just approve or not. Yeah, so I mean, I was a little surprised to see that there was some dissent because I hadn't heard any in the chat yet or from anybody, but that's potentially expected. So hopefully, if anybody sees this and they did, dissented on that vote, we can get some feedback and we can improve. Looks like we talked a bunch about finalizing topics. I think that's kind of a little bit further down the list because we're still waiting for people to get back to us on what they want to discuss and present about. But I think we have a decent idea in terms of from the poll, from the survey that went out and the different topics that are that people responded to, and this data that we had from the topics. So I think that was helpful. We have some rough idea about we're probably going to have longer breakout rooms, bigger sessions for funding community, and some of these other things. So I think people from tokenomics engineering commons I'm still waiting for them to fill out the form. But yeah, so we have a couple more speakers or facilitators applying, but I think that's we're just trying to get into that. So we definitely talked a bunch about this already and following up with sponsors. So we've got, which honestly at this point it's more, I guess, outreach to sponsors because the two that have said that they'd be willing to sponsor, conversations already, in progress. So we could do outreach to sponsors. So that's open if anybody wants to step up and help with that. And then getting on to your questions, because I know we were bouncing around. So we talked about the lesson. That's moving forward. Bharat is, I think, pretty close to having a first draft that we're going to start getting some feedback from the Bankless Academy team on. But goal is to get that out within the next, I would say, probably a month from now. So it's out at least a couple weeks before the event. Budget, I'll show that in a second, but I kind of did a brief budget as part of the NEAR Marketing DAO grant application. And yeah, getting in touch with Bankless HQ is a big item. So just trying to work those channels through. But if anybody has direct connections to David, Ryan, or the team over there, we definitely want to make that, get in touch with them. One, for obviously what we talked about earlier with David as a potential keynote. Two, as potential sponsor. I think that'd be fantastic. And co-marketing, any sort of juice we can get from them and support would be fantastic. Dev updates, not really much, other than we finally at least have a landing page bank up. Nehu and I I just hit some snags in setting up the events hosting platform, but it's getting there, and I need to follow up with Nehu, but at least we do have a landing page back up. It was down for a little bit over a week. Okay, grants. So we do have a proposal or in progress for Bankless DeSci, or for Bankless, with Bankless DAO for Bankless DeSci, which would get us bank tokens. I was hoping that Anna was going to stay on because she's been submitting a bunch of proposals and helping projects submit proposals this year. But yeah, I think we did get like a nod that we could submit a mid-season proposal and get it approved. But we're also getting to the point in season 9 where it's almost time to start submitting season 10 proposals, right? So it's like now or never. We could do something retroactively, and I think that might actually be the best way to do it. Instead of trying to ram through a mid-season proposal for season 9, we could just include a retroactive request in our season 10 proposal to cover the work done that we're all doing now in season 9. And the goal is, with having a lot of projects that come out of Bankless DAO just rely on this one funding source. And it's led to a lot of problems. One, in that projects never actually have an incentive to try and reach break even because they can just get this perpetual grant funding. But that leads to the depreciation of the token and ultimately dilution of governance, and it's just sort of, it hasn't been good for Bankless DAO, right? And so Bankless DAO is implementing a staking locking feature for governance now, but that's separate. I think for Bankless DeSci, my goal is to not contribute to that problem by bringing in other funds. So that if our contributors choose and give contributors an option, right? Do they want to work for, ETH or stablecoins? I think we're going to get from near marketing DAO if they approve. I don't think it's near tokens, but if it is, either way, we can just convert part of this to stables. Contributors can choose to get rewarded in stables, hopefully, or bank tokens if they want governance in Bankless DAO. Or we could just do like a percentage split for all contributors. And I think that's going to come up to a vote at some point soon, once we get some grant funding in and we know what we can allocate. But I think that's the goal, is to take the sell pressure off the bank token and make it a governance token. Like, if people want to contribute and participate in governance, you can contribute and get governance tokens. But if people need to make income for their hourly work, which I think is a lot of us, myself included, they can elect to receive actual payment. So that's the goal of applying for multiple grants. And Yuna is leading this effort. I haven't gotten any updates from her. Let's see if she added anything in here. Nope. I got to check in with Yuna about that. But she's been, kind of going through that application and working on a draft using these two others that I worked on. So this founding proposal was drafted months ago and is pretty outdated. So I need to go through and update that. I was still calling it my project Cannabis Genome Dev back then. Yes, this is older. Definitely needs to be updated. But this one is much fresher and has been submitted now. So this is something I wrote and submitted to the Near Marketing DAO, which I'm an active contributor in the Near ecosystem now for over 2 years. So I think the way Near operates, it's all a giant DAO. It's these grassroots DAOs that have received a large amount of funding from the Near Foundation, and then it's their prerogative to allocate those funds to community projects. And so bringing Bankless DAO in, with the Near ecosystem is something that I wanted to do for a long time, because I've been a member of both communities for a long time. And I know right now that the Near Marketing DAO, Near ecosystem, they want to bring in new projects, right? So that is what I basically framed this proposal as, is, hey, Near ecosystem, guess what? You guys say you want DeSci, you say you want new projects. There's this cool new project that is looking for funding for their event, and it's Bankless DeSci. So I just kind of pitched the event to them, and as a marketing thing, saying if they basically asking them to sponsor the event. So it's more of a sponsorship proposal, I guess, than a grant proposal. But it's framed as a grant proposal because that's how the marketing DAO works. So just give them some marketing, try and onboard people from the Near ecosystem to lead sessions. Obviously, publish their logo and stuff as a sponsor. And I think we briefly touched on this last week. So actually, I think we talked about it in more detail last week on this call. So this would be basically completed by default if they approve, because Bankless DeSci is a Bankless DAO project, and we'd have to create a multi-sig on Near to accept their funds. And so we'd complete this one by default if they choose to fund us. And this one I think would be pretty easy, because we'd have at least 5 multi-sig members, plus I think we can get 5 community members. This one's going to be a little bit more challenging. We're going to have to, and I can do this outreach because I know a lot of people in the Near ecosystem that would be great speakers. The co-founder of Near is one of the authors of the groundbreaking "Attention is All You Need" AI paper. So he's like one of these AI super OGs. Worked at Google.
You mean Ilya? Ilya?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, he's been speaking a lot, and this AI thing is quite new, It's just I think in the past 3-4 months he's speaking more and more.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, and yes. So great. This is interesting, actually, the Near thing. And please show me the criteria one more time. What they had 2 criteria, right?
Which criteria?
No, like about multisig and everything. That you had 2 points. That if you get funding from Near, then you have to do these things. Something like that. So Near ecosystem maybe. And recruit 3 facilitators from Near ecosystem to lead breakout session. On board one Bankless DAO project and 10 Bankless DAO or Bankless DeSci contributors to Near. Okay, so you mean by when 10 Bankless DAO DeSci contributors, it's just 5 multisig signers, right? And maybe 5 more just on the forums or something like that, right?
Yeah, this I guess creates wallets, right? So this is to create one multisig and create, have 10 people that we've confirmed created new wallets. So we could just, ask people to create a new wallet or, potentially even incentivize that. But I think, that's this one project, onboard one Bankless DAO project would mean create a multisig for Bankless DeSci on Near. That's pretty much that.
I see.
So because I guess, I submitted this proposal on behalf of Bankless DeSci, but I am taking, in this proposal I mentioned that I am the one responsible for making sure that this shit happens. And I'm fine taking that, and I'm pretty confident in all these things that, I know we can definitely do these deliverables. The ones that are up in the air are, can we actually recruit these 3 facilitators? And I think we definitely can. I've got at least 3 people in mind right now. That would be great to lead sessions on these things, from the Near ecosystem. So, I think that these goals, and it's a marketing proposal, right? So it's the marketing DAO. So most of the KPIs, and goals and stuff that we're going to be trying to hit are marketing related, right? So get 500 followers on Twitter, create an account on your social, get 50 followers by the end of the event, get 200 people in our Telegram. So it's a lot of these marketing KPIs that are our main goals, which I think are going to be, we're on track to hit, no problem. This I've already started doing, so if we get them to sponsor us, we can I can mention on the call we're being sponsored by Near Marketing DAO. Because Bankless DAO it's a media DAO, right? It's all about marketing and education, and so that's also why I chose to submit this proposal to the Near Marketing DAO. It's because I see a lot of alignment between the mission and values of the Near Marketing DAO and of Bankless DAO. And Bankless DeSci presents an opportunity to bring those two.
Together. This is a very interesting angle, Elia. See, meeting the marketing KPI is one thing, and having something substantial is another. And the problem is that most of the prominent DAOs, especially in the molecule ecosystem, they're all on Ethereum and around Gnosis safe. So once you have a strong nucleus here, it keeps on attracting more and more projects. And so that's something. I mean, like, and Ethereum has been, long, kind of. I mean, they have a page on DeSci, and that's like I think from 2 or 3 years ago, right? And so today, that's why they are seeing the results. I know Near's effort, to grow its ecosystem, to find, more numbers, and that's why they are at all the conferences. Ilya speaks. I mean, I was looking at his presentation from Mainnet. What is that conference? It's Metari's conference, Mainnet. So it's a choice. I don't know. Like, I mean, like, I understand maybe you have contributed to the Near ecosystem for 2 years. You said, so you know them. But like, will this deeper relationship with Near, lead us somewhere as let's say Bankless, DeSci grows, because most of I think Bankless operations are also on EVM ecosystem, and like as per my knowledge. So if it's about grants this time, it's okay, Near chain. But I would say that it would be more interesting to have funding from let's say VitaDAO. If you're talking to VitaDAO and they kind of agreed, and if there are other guys, because it won't be a big amount, right? I mean, like, anyways, for sponsorship, they would be like a few thousand euros, I guess. So if others in the ecosystem are able to give, this is, of course, this is the first time, and you are looking for, as you explained, tokens beyond bank tokens, right? And so it's an interesting angle, but you tell me, like, what make Near a compelling proposition to you as a builder? As a DeSci builder in DeSci space, let's say.
So I think there's a couple of things in there. One is I think that DeSci is itself chain agnostic. So I don't think, that simply because a couple of the popular DeSci DAOs are, have their treasuries on Ethereum or EVM networks, I don't think that makes Ethereum or EVM networks the de facto standard for how DeSci projects can, leverage Web3 infrastructure. I think, that alone makes me want to apply for funding to, from every ecosystem. So that right there is just like, I don't think there's any objective reason, for DeSci to choose one or another. Certain projects, sure. But I think that, DeSci as a movement, or, doesn't have any prerogative to any particular chain. But I think also in terms of, and so that being said, Near is an ecosystem that I already have these relationships in, and it's an easy one to branch out from Ethereum. I think, but also that, we are submitting a grant to Ethereum Foundation, 100%. And there's just you can't submit grants to Near Foundation anymore, right? So that's why we're going through the marketing now. And also in terms of VitaDAO, they were actually the first organization to offer to sponsor our event. So we're already in that conversation that was discussed more last week. But VitaDAO and TalentDAO, Renee Bankless chick has offered to support as well. But that we need to put those both through, I guess, their formal processes. So I'm in DM conversations with both of them already, as our two potential lead sponsors, VitaDAO and TalentDAO, and obviously Bankless DAO. But and so I think we're definitely going after, I think, sponsorship from within the DeSci ecosystem, but also just in terms of infrastructure. I don't think there's any loyalty, or there should be. I think that's a very unscientific thing to do, to have loyalty to a tool. to a technology. And so I think in terms of funding we can get, and also just near in general, is not like their whole MO is interoperability. So a lot of what NEAR is doing is focusing on enabling builders on EVM networks to get interoperability with other chains. So it's not even about like just building on NEAR. Like building on NEAR means like building an interoperable, software in my eyes. So it's not. I think that's their whole big thing with the BOSS, the blockchain operating system. And so I think it's positioned well. I think it's very easy to use and build on. I think it would be. I think they have a lot to offer to the DeSci community. And so Ethereum obviously does as well. Ethereum obviously supports the movement, but I think in terms of other chains, like I'm all for it. So that's what I was thinking there. It's not like trying to realign, I guess, the existing bankless infrastructure. It's more just like, hey, there's this other option, or there's these additional offerings, and people that are interested in what we're doing.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, that's okay.
Yeah.
So fantastic. So great. We have a few minutes remaining. So any final thoughts? I'll have to jump. I have a hard stop in 2 minutes.
Yeah, same. No, I got to follow up with Yuna on this one. But now, I know I took us off the track we were on before, so I want to give the mic back to you in terms of now that we've kind of come full circle. Does that make, I guess, a little bit more sense in terms of the things we're talking about?
I mean, I think since I'm focusing more on the speaker side, so if you are already reaching out to people or have reached out, I mean, if either it's you maintain a track on the Airtable, it's just your notes. So let's say there are people already listed there, but those you are just approaching, so that there aren't any overlaps. Okay, so I know that if you are approaching, I don't have to. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So you just if multiple people are doing the same thing, then it's just good to have that central source of truth. And and then of course Telegram is the first point, and what you said, if you put out there that guys, I need your ideas for the sessions, and we do 1 or 2 prompts and see how things are in the next 5-6 days, and then we take stock and see what to do. Okay, so that's my thought on here. I think your sponsorship sounds okay. I mean, this will be once, you will keep us informed on how things are with NEAR, or how definitive you are, and then then it's going to be the multi-sig will be at the NEAR, and that's absolutely, chain is not a problem. Ultimately, most chains have to work seamlessly with each other, so that's fine. So funds is done, and this the speakers. These are the 2 main things, and once in the grounds, you already have some framework, and you're working on those. That sounds good to me.
Yeah, and if you wanted to get started on outreaching to people who haven't, posted yet, that would be. I haven't started that yet. All I did was make the one post in the Telegram, and so if I haven't reached out to anybody specifically about their sessions.
Yeah, so I was actually looking, waiting for the response there, because if people just respond to a post, that's always better than just individually reaching out to them. So yeah, I mean, one more reframe if you want to do on that, basis anything that's you think can be done today. And then otherwise, of course, we have to ask people, either send an email or on Telegrams and DM, right? So these are the two ways, right? So, or one way is a simple, like a BCC email, okay? For those who have not provided information, hey guys, you filled up this form, thanks, and this is some interesting information, and if you have ideas, please reply to this, right? So I think email is nice, kind of, it's less intrusive, looks more formal, kind of, so if you have, I will like draft something and I will, share with you, and then we can together improve it. And I think it just goes there.
Yeah.
Right? Because people fill and they gave their emails, and so they should just, they should just revert with the ideas they have, and in like 200 words or 150 words, and yeah. I will take cue from your message there as well. So yeah, this is what I think. Okay.
Yeah.
So great. Thanks, Elia, and okay, catch up soon then.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you. Appreciate it. I know we both have to jump. So cool. I'll talk to you more after the call.
Okay.
All right. Take care. All right, bye, Victor.